Hi everyone. Welcome to this gentle yoga class. So this class today that we're going to do is going to move very slowly, but it's also going to be active. What we're trying to understand here with our bodies is how to support and protect our low back as we're moving to different poses. So for class today, what you're going to need is 2 blocks. You'll need a strap, you'll need a bolster, and you will also need a chair or some sort of ottoman, because we will be using this as we move towards the final peak pose of our class today. And yes, there is a peak pose in this gentle yoga class. So grab those items and then we will get started. So before we do anything, we are going to place our 2 blocks at the top of our mat, whichever direction that you're going to be facing. And then we're just going to come to a seated position. I like to sit on top of something so that my spine is nice and long and that I'm not hunched over. So if that is you, you can use one of the blocks, you can grab something else that you may have, and just make sure your spine is nice and long so we can get settled as we move to class today. So to begin, we'll take an inhale and take our shoulders up into our ears. Exhale, shoulder blades fall down the back. You can do this through the nose and out through the mouth, or through the nose and out through the nose. It's up to you. Inhale. And exhale. Last one, inhale. And exhale. From here, we'll inhale, lifting the arms up overhead. And exhale, we'll take a twist over to the right, coming into a spinal twist. Now, I am not mirroring you, so you're probably looking at this and I'm going the opposite direction, but I'm not mirroring in this class. And as you sit here, notice what's happening with your sit bones. If you are leaning over into that right sit bone too much, can you even it out and sit more on the left so that you're on both the right and the left? Keeping the spine nice and long. This is the beginning of class, so we're not trying to force this twist. And from here, I want you to focus your attention on the belly button, right above the belly button rather, and breathe into that area of your belly. We're doing this to create more space and to help the muscles around both sides of the spine soften as we're in this twist. You'll inhale, lift the arms up overhead. And then exhale, twist to the left. Same thing here. We want to find length in the spine before we are twisting. The whole point of all of this yoga is to make space in the body. And if we're just crunching into those areas, we're not creating space. Focus the attention just right above the belly button, the 3rd chakra area. And breathe into that area. Your next inhale, lift the arms up overhead, creating space and length. And then we're going to side bend to the right. So for some of you, the hand will just come on the ground. For those of you who have more mobility, you can bring the forearm onto the ground. But again, we're focusing on grounding through the sit bones. So if you are side bending and that left sit bone starts to leave the ground, you're going too far. Breathing into the left side of the rib cage. And then notice here if your upper body's starting to also twist towards the sky, just try to untwist from there and really make this a side bend, not a back bend. And then from here, inhale, finding length in those lats on the side waists. And then exhale, opposite side. Really side bending here. Again, if your chest is turned more towards the sky and your upper back is going towards a back bend, just try to even that out And really make this about the right side ribs, side waist. Inhale to find length, lifting the arms overhead. Hands will touch, and they come to Anjali Mudra at heart center. Coming into some seated cat-cow, so just bring the palms onto the thighs. You'll inhale, reach the heart forward, and then exhale, dome and round. And rather than thinking about doing this in the low back, I want you to imagine doing this back bending, both front and back, in the upper back. So as we inhale, we find length. The upper back is opening, collarbones are spreading. Exhale, we're doming and rounding. Think the upper back versus the low back. Do 2 more of these. And as you're moving, the low back is coming into a back bend, but that's just not where I want your focus right now. It's in the upper part of the back. Last one. Good, and you'll soften back in center here. And then we'll just start to take some circles here with the chest, circling one direction in whatever way feels good. So these can be big, they can be small, they can be medium-sized, it's really up to you. And then when you come back to the top, you'll pause. And you'll start to circle the opposite direction. Really feeling the sit bones getting massaged as you transfer their weight side to side. Good, and then you'll come back to center. And we'll find some stillness here. So we're gonna ground down through those sit bones. The shoulder blades will be down the back, so shoulders aren't into the ears. And you're gonna find as much length as you can as you sit here. So you're lengthening through the side waists and lats. Collarbones are spreading side to side. And the shoulder heads are in line with your ears. So we're not in a back bend here or hunched, but rather nice and balanced. Notice your breath. And notice how you feel physically in your body today. Note the areas that might be tight, the areas that might feel loose, the areas that might need some love and attention. How are you feeling physically today? And then notice how you're feeling energetically today. Are you fatigued or are you kind of buzzing with energy? Just notice it and name it to yourself. And then how is your mind and emotions today? Maybe it's been a very hard week and you're holding a lot, or maybe something great has happened for you and you're kind of feeling really good in the mind. Or maybe you're somewhere in between. Maybe you're not sure how you feel today. All of those experiences are valid. And then know, what is your level of awareness today? That could be the level of awareness of how you're feeling, the level of awareness with what's happening around you, however you identify with that. How is your awareness? And then how is your ability today to connect with something beyond yourself? That could be family, that could be nature, God, universe, whatever that is. What is your capacity to feel that and connect with something outside of yourself today? Just checking in on these different layers of the koshas and how we feel. and what our experience is. We'll come into a pranayama called Dirga breath, which is a 3-part breath. Keep your eyes closed if they're still closed. And what Dirga breath is you'll breathe in to the low belly. You'll breathe in, the ribs will expand. You're still breathing in, you expand through the chest, you'll hold. And then on the exhale, the chest softens, the ribs will soften, and the belly softens. So that is the rhythm, but we'll do this in different parts of the body. So to prepare, let's take an inhale together. Exhale through the nose. And taking the attention to the front body, inhale, belly, ribs, chest, hold. As you exhale through the nose, chest softens, ribs soften, and belly softens. Now taking your attention to the back body. Your ribs do have a backside to them, so taking the attention, not your ribs, I'm sorry, your lungs have a backside to them, so do the ribs, but we're talking about the lungs right now. So take the attention to your back body. Still with Dirga breath, as you inhale, you feel the low back. You feel the mid back and ribs. You feel the upper back. Hold. Exhale, upper back softens. Mid back softens. Low back softens. Now taking the attention to both the front and back sides of the body. As you inhale, the low belly and low back fill. The front of the body and back of the mid body fill. And keep breathing in, the chest fills, the upper back fills. You hold. Exhale from top to bottom, upper back and chest, back body and ribs, low belly and low back. We'll do that 2 more times, filling all directions of the body. Inhale. Hold. And then exhale from top to bottom. Last one on your own. Inhale to fill. Hold. And exhale, top to bottom. Good. Gently opening your eyes. We'll do some neck circles here. So circling the neck one direction. These don't need to be big. And then circling the neck the opposite direction. Good. Find yourself at center. Pause for just one breath. And exhale, release. Good. All right, from here, we're going to come onto our back. So whatever you're sitting on, just put that off to the side. Keep those blocks at the top of the mat. We will need them when we get there. And we're going to come onto our back. So from here, we're going to do some pelvic tilts. These are more somatic, so they're not, we're not activating a lot of muscle here. We're not going to put weight in our feet. We're not lifting our pelvis. The pelvis and everything is staying flat on the floor. So from here, your hands can be by your sides, but I'm just going to move mine to the side so you can see if you need to. But as you inhale, the tailbone's going to drive into the ground. The low back will lift. I'm going to over-exaggerate this so you can see what I'm talking about. Low back lifts. And then on the exhale, you flatten the low back. You're not going to exaggerate just like that though. These are going to be gentle. So inhale, tailbone dries, low back lifts gently, maybe like an inch. And then exhale, close that space off or flatten the low back. Do 4 more of those. Inhale. And exhale. Try to keep the pelvic floor soft as you move through this. We are creating space, loosening it up by doing these pelvic tilts. Two more. And last one. Good. From here, you'll take your arms into goalposts. You'll take your feet mat distance apart and let your knees knock in towards each other. You'll stay here at center on the inhale. On the exhale, drop your knees to the right and you'll gently look to the left. Again, these are still somatic, so you're not lifting your head. You're letting the back of your head roll on the ground as you do this. Inhale, take the knees back to the sky. The head comes back to center. Exhale, drop the knees to the left and look to the right. Again, let the back of the head just roll. You'll keep repeating these at your own pace. I like to call somatic movements lazy movements because we're not focusing on anatomy. We're focusing on more like how this feels. There's no alignment here. There's no special placement. You're trying to find a flow in the body. And coming into more relaxation and softening. Good. Let's do one more on each side. And then just make sure you are even. From here, you're going to grab your strap, so make sure that was close by. You'll still be on your back. Coming into Supta Padangusthasana, so the arch of the right foot is going to go into the strap. That left leg is going to reach forward. Now, if that is too much for you, you're going to bend that left knee and keep the left foot on the ground. But if you can extend that left leg forward, do. Now here's where the focus on that alignment comes in that I was telling you about for what we'll need at the end of class. Now, take your attention to your inner right thigh. What I'm about to tell you is more of an activity versus an action. An action would be like moving the leg. An activity is just igniting the muscles to support the body. So the inner right thigh is going to reach towards the front of your mat. The inner left thigh is going to reach towards the mat. So again, inner right thigh reaches towards the front of the mat. So it's rolling, so we create space in the side waist. The inner left thigh is reaching towards the mat, down. What that does is level our pelvis for support, and we will need that as we move towards our peak pose in class today. So just hold this. With that activity, it's just the inner thigh, so it's not like the toes moving. The toes are pointed back towards your head still. Inner thighs are what's having the activity right now. You'll stay here for one more inhale. And on the exhale, release. Coming into the other side. So the arch of the left foot gets the strap this time. That leg goes towards the sky. And the right foot is reaching forward or straight. Again, if you need to bend the right knee and bring the foot onto the ground, do. So that activity comes into play again. The inner left thigh is rolling towards the front of the mat. My toes still are pointing towards my head. The inner right thigh is reaching towards the ground or the mat. Again, this levels the pelvis so that it's not tweaking on one side or the other. And just hold that and breathe and notice what that feels like in your body. Both feet are active, so nothing is lazy here. Things are awake. Take one more inhale. And exhale, release. Beautiful. You'll take the strap off to the side, and you'll roll over, and you're gonna sit up into a tabletop position. All right, coming into those blocks are still there. We are gonna get to it. All right, from here, let's take some cat-cows. And as you're moving through these cat-cows, I want you to think length, even though you're back bending in both directions. So on the inhale, drop the belly, lift the head, think length. And then as you exhale, dome and round, think length in the spine. Good, keep moving. Inhale, think length versus bending. Exhale, think length of the spine. So again, we're creating length before we're thinking of the bending and the most open that we can be. It's the whole goal of the yoga. Last one. Good, and find a neutral spine here. If you need to come off your hands for a second, shake your wrist, maybe move them in circles. Okay, then from here, our right hand's gonna go underneath our face. Our left arm's gonna lift up to the sky on the inhale. On the exhale, we're gonna thread the left arm underneath, but we're not gonna stay down. So maybe the shoulder touches, maybe nothing touches, but you're reaching the left arm through. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale, thread and reach. Inhale to lift. This time on the exhale, we're gonna thread all the way through. So you are either gonna come onto the shoulder if you can do that. If not, you have a block here. So maybe your head rests on the block. The block has different heights. Do whatever you need to do to support yourself in this pose. If you happen to be all the way on your shoulder, you're gonna straighten the right arm forward. Your sit bones are gonna reach back so that both side waists are lengthening, and you're just gonna breathe. One more breath here. Good, reach both arms forward so the right hand stays where it is. Left arm reaches forward, and we're gonna come into a child's pose. We're not gonna be here long. Now from this child pose, reach both hands to the left side of your mat. And then from here, you're actually gonna stack your left hand, yes, your left hand, on top of the right hand. Lengthening through that right side of the body as you stack. Good, and then come back to center in that child's pose just for a moment, and lift back up onto your hands and your knees. Good, we come into the other side. The left hand comes onto the ground. Right arm lifts, inhale. Exhale, thread and reach. Inhale to lift. Exhale, thread and reach. Last one, inhale. Exhale, thread and pause. Use your block if you need to, something else. If you're all the way in the pose, that left arm reaches forward. Sit bones reach back. as we're lengthening through the side waist. Last breath here. And then you're going to come out of that, coming into that child's pose again, just for a moment. Your hands are going to reach to the right side of your mat. Your right hand stacks on top of the left this time, lengthening through the left side waist. Unstack the hands, come back to center. And pause in your child's pose. Lifting up into that tabletop position. From here, we will tuck our toes. Lifting up into that tabletop position, we will tuck our toes and come into our downward facing dog. Pedaling out the feet, moving in any way that feels good to you here. Perhaps your first downward facing dog of the day. And then we'll find center. The heels drive towards the ground. The chest is reaching back towards the thighs to find length across the spine. Take a big inhale, fill up the back body. And exhale, soften. Good. From here, bend the knees, look forward. You're going to take baby steps to the top of your mat, coming into a forward fold. On the inhale, you'll lift up halfway. On the exhale, you'll fold. Inhale, arms rise, chest rises to stand, hands touch. And they exhale to heart center. And the arms come by your sides. Inhale, arms lift up towards the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to lift up halfway. Plant your hands and step your right foot behind you. And then lower that right knee to the ground. Okay, so your blocks are at the top of the mat if you need them. Your hands can go on blocks for any of this. So from here, we're going to bring our hands onto our hips. And that work that we talked about with the thighs is what comes into action here. So this time, the left leg is forward. Your left inner thigh is going to roll towards the mat. Your right inner thigh is going to roll towards the back of the room. So what that does is level the pelvis. I'm going to over-exaggerate this so you can see what I'm talking about. Sometimes when we're in a lunge, this is what happens. So we're crunching on the hip, and this hip flexor is really open. The pelvis is not level here. So by having that action, and activity rather, of the inner thighs rolling, it levels our pelvis. Breathe here, feeling that action, activity. Keeping that activity, lift the arms up into the sky, Anjaneyasana, and breathe. Lengthening through both side waist, reaching the fingertips up towards the sky. And exhale, place your hands on those blocks. From here, push into the blocks. They can either be at the highest height, medium, or low. That's up to you. You're going to tuck the back toes and lift the back knee. Your hands are supported underneath the blocks. What is happening with your inner thighs? Left inner thigh is reaching towards the mat. Right inner thigh is reaching towards the ceiling to level the pelvis. Breathe here. Last breath. Good. And lower that knee to the ground. Focus on what's happening with the inner thighs. Coming back into Anjaneyasana. Inhale, arms lift. And exhale, hands to the mat or the blocks, and step forward to a forward fold. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. Inhale, arms rise, chest rises to stand, hands touch at the top. Heart center, Anjali Mudra. And then arms by the sides. All right, we're doing it on the other side. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale to lift halfway. From here, step your left foot behind you, and the knee comes onto the ground. Hands come to hips. Right inner thigh is rolling towards the mat. Left inner thigh is rolling towards the back of the room to level that pelvis. And breathe here with your hands on your hips. Even though the inner thighs have some activity happening, can you soften through the pelvic floor? So you don't want to grip at the pelvic floor. It really wants to be soft here so that you have the ability to move and work with the inner thighs. Now from here, keep the activity happening in the inner thighs. Arms lift up for your Anjaneyasana. Lengthening through those sideways. Fingertips are lifting. Stay here for the inhale. And exhale, hands to the ground or blocks. Tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee into the air. Right inner thigh is rolling towards the mat, left inner thigh is rolling towards the ceiling. Push those hands into the block and breathe. On your next exhale, lower that left knee to the ground. Anjaneyasana, inhale, arms lift up. Exhale, hands to the blocks or the ground. This time, we're going to step to our downward facing dog. Big inhale through the nose. Exhale, mouth, let it go. Okay, so from here, we are going to lift our leg and step the foot in between the hands. If that is difficult for you, I want you to lower your knees to the ground. Your hands are going to come onto blocks instead. That makes it easier for us to step our foot in between our hands so we have more space. Last, inhale through the nose. Exhale, mouth. Beautiful. Right leg is going to lift into the air on the inhale. Try to keep the pelvis level, all the work we've been doing. Step the foot in between your hands. And then lower the back knee to the ground. On your inhale, Anjaneyasana, arms lift. What is happening with your inner thighs? And then from here, you're going to interlace your hands behind your back, or you're going to grab your strap if it's really difficult for you to reach your hands together, or if you just feel tight. This is why we use props to help us. So from here, right inner thigh is rolling towards the mat. Left inner thigh is rolling towards the back of the room. Hands are interlaced or you're using your strap. Keep that activity happening in the inner thighs as you start to reach those knuckles towards the back heel, and then your collarbones expand and open. So this is coming into the upper back. Soften through the pelvic floor, keeping the pelvis level. Stay for one more inhale. And exhale, release. Step to your downward facing dog. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, mouth, let it go. Now from here, your left leg's gonna lift up to the sky on the inhale. Exhale, step that foot in between the hands. The back knee lowers to the ground. Anjaneyasana, arms lift on your inhale. On the exhale, interlace your hands behind your back or grab your strap. Before you're starting to open the upper back, left inner thigh rolls towards the mat, right inner thigh rolls towards the back of the room. I know it's super repetitive, but we'll need it for where we're going today. Once you have all of that activity, then you start to open the upper back. Reach the knuckles towards the back heel, collarbone spread. Make sure that pelvis is still level, and breathe. One more breath here. Anjaneyasana, arms lift. Exhale, hands to the blocks or the ground. Step forward to your forward fold. Pause here in this forward fold. Grab opposite elbows. Maybe you sway side to side. Hands come to the hips. Inhale to lift up halfway. And exhale, lift up the full way. Okay, let's check in with our body. You're gonna bring your left hand to your heart. Right hand's gonna come to your belly. We've done a lot of movement here. Slow movement, but a lot of activity for the body. So let's just check in. How are we feeling? What is alive for you physically? What's happening with you energetically? What is happening with your mind and emotions? Last breath here. And let your hands release to the sides. Okay, bring your hands to your hips. Your right foot is going to step behind you, coming into Warrior Two pose. Right foot steps behind Warrior Two. From here, the fingertips are reaching to either side of the room. That front inner thigh is tracking towards the front of the room. The back inner thigh is gently rolling towards the back of the back wall. For me, the back wall. What that does is get the pelvis where it's supposed to be. In Warrior Two, our hips are not stacked. They're slightly diagonal. Now from here, as you inhale, reach the arms to the sky, straighten the front leg and flex the front foot, lengthening through those sideways, spine length. Exhale, Warrior Two. You'll do it again. Inhale, arms to the sky, front leg straightens, front foot flexes. Exhale, Warrior Two. Last one. Holding this Warrior Two and breathing. Looking over, gazing over those front fingertips. Again, that left inner thigh is tracking towards the front of the room. One more breath. My inner thigh is burning. I don't know about you. And then inhale to straighten that front leg. Hands come onto the hips. You're going to turn the toes towards that long edge of your mat, coming into a wide leg forward fold. From here, wiggle the hips side to side if that makes sense for you. And then pause at center. Maybe your forearms come onto the ground. Maybe your head reaches towards the mat, the crown of the head. Maybe you grab the ankles here, whatever feels good for you to do. Coming into this pose and finding some relief. On your next inhale, lift up halfway. Bring your hands to your hips and lift up the full way. We're coming into Warrior Two on the opposite side. So come right into the opposite side. The right leg is forward this time. Arms are reaching out to either side of the room. Again, that right inner thigh is tracking towards the front of the mat. So we're not letting the knee knock in. It's the inner thigh that's reaching. That left inner thigh is slightly reaching now to the back of my mat. And we're breathing. Inhale, arms to the sky, front leg straightens, front foot flexes, spine lengthen the side waist. And exhale, warrior two. Two more of those on your own. Inhale. And exhale. Really good. Last one, inhaling. And exhale, holding that warrior two. Two more breaths here if you can manage. Nice strong warrior, fingertips reaching to either side of the room. Find that expansive wingspan with your arms. Collarbones are lengthening to either side. Last breath. Straightening through that front leg, hands to hips. And then coming back with the toes towards the long edge of the mat, we're coming into goddess squat here, supported goddess squat. So the toes will go out, the heels will turn in. Your hands are gonna come onto your thighs. I like my thumbs to be on my inner thighs and then my other fingertips to be on my out seam of my pants or the outer seam. If you have another way to do that, that's fine. Find length at center on the inhale. On the exhale, drop the right shoulder coming into a twist. Inhale back to center. And exhale. Do about one more of those on each side or more if you have the time and it feels really good in the shoulders. And when you find yourself back at center, straighten the legs and then just heel toe the feet in. Okay, so we're coming into our peak pose today for this gentle class. This is where the chair comes in. So grab your chair or the ottoman or something. This does need to be sturdy. So this can't be like your blocks and your bolster. This does need to be something that's really sturdy. Now, before I explain where we're going, if you have any neck, upper back stuff, you are actually going to do this on a block. So let me demo that first. What we're gonna do is come onto our back. Your pelvis is just gonna be lifted with the block. So your work is gonna be here, and you're either gonna straighten one leg forward to find this. You will have that activity happening on the inner thighs. So again, if you have any upper back or spine issues or pain when we come into this, I want you to use the block instead. If that is not you, you are going to grab your chair. Good. Then you're going to come onto your back. Your legs are going to go up over the chair. And before we come into our peak pose today, we're just going to come onto our back. Apologies. You're going to need one of your blocks. Grab one of your blocks. Place it slightly under the chair, underneath the right thigh. Then come onto your back. And just breathe and notice what has happened so far for you in class. Let this be soft. Let the inner thighs be soft. Let the back be soft. There's no activity that needs to happen here. You're just relaxing. We'll be here for about 5 breaths. Really feeling into your experience and what is happening for you. Use the breath to soften the muscles if anything's tight. Really focusing on the breath. Okay, last breath here. Okay. From here, your feet are going to come on either the top of the chair or that ottoman. From here, you're going to push your feet into the chair and the hips are going to lift up into the sky. From here, your shoulder heads roll under, and this is the pose you're in. Just breathe here. If you notice the upper back is really tight, can you soften the upper back by taking the shoulder blades more towards your tailbone? And breathe. Good, and then lower the hips to the ground. Bring the knees back over to rest and take the arms overhead. So we're finding length across the spine here. And you'll take 2 breaths here. Last breath. Good. Bring the hands by the hips or the arms by the hips. We're going to do that again. Bringing the feet either onto the chair, ottoman, or whatever you're using that's sturdy. Push the feet into that chair, lift the hips into the air. Roll the shoulder heads under. And if this is helpful, you can bend your elbows and take your hands on your hips if that's helpful. And just breathe here. Tailbone is reaching towards the heels. Shoulder blades are reaching towards the tailbone. 1 more breath. And exhale, lower the hips. Bring the legs over that chair. Arms go above your head. If the arms don't touch the ground, the elbows can be bent out to the sides. What we want to do again is just find length across the lats and side waist. Softening through the inner thighs, outer thighs. 2 breaths. Bringing the hands by the hips. All right, here we go. We're going to use this block now. Now, one of our legs is going to be on the chair. One of your feet is going to be on the chair. The other foot is either going to be on the ground or on the block. You'll know if your foot needs to go on the block if the ground is too far away or you're feeling some twinging or tweaking in your pelvis. Okay, so from here, bend the knees, the feet are on the chair. Lift the hips up into the air. Same thing, roll the shoulder heads under. Here's where that thigh work comes in. Our right foot, we're not moving it yet, but our right foot is going to come onto the ground or that block. Before we do that, we're going to notice where our hips are in space, okay? Your right foot is either going to come onto that block or the ground. So take it down, try to keep the pelvis level. Now, your right inner thigh is rolling towards the mat. That's what levels the pelvis. If we let it go out to the side, this pelvis drops. That's not what we want. So the right inner thigh is rolling towards the mat and you're breathing here, keeping the pelvis as level as you can. Stay for 1 more breath. Take that right foot back onto the chair and lower the hips to the ground. Baddha Konasana, bottoms of the feet together, knees go wide. Maybe you move the hips side to side or pelvic tilt forward and back. Good. If you are using the block, you are going to move that block right underneath your left thigh. So just take a moment to do that and then bring the feet back onto that chair or ottoman or whatever you're using. Lift the hips up into the air. Roll the shoulder heads under.
You can also use your hands on your hips still if that's something that you want to do. The right knee this time is pointed towards the sky. We keep our hips level. We lower the left foot either onto the block or the ground. The left inner thigh is rolling towards the mat. And breathe. Last breath. Bring that foot back onto the chair and lower the hips to the ground. Coming into your Baddha Konasana for 5 breaths. Again, moving the hips side to side or pelvic tilting if that makes sense for you. Two more breaths here. Feeling into your experience and what's happening for you. Good. Bring the knees towards each other, so close the legs. Bring your knees into your chest. Maybe you take a happy baby here. Moving side to side. And then bring the knees together. You're gonna roll onto your side and push yourself up. And let's clear the mat. So, move that chair, move the blocks, whatever you need to do here. And then from here, we're gonna come right back onto our back. Okay, from here, your arms are gonna go into a T. You're gonna bend your knees if they're not. Your feet mat distance apart, knees knock in. Both palms are pointed up towards the sky right now. This is gonna be your inhale. On the exhale, drop your knees to the left and look to the right. And then you're gonna flip that left palm towards the ground. So the palm is on the ground. On the inhale, take the head back to center, knees back to center. Flip that left palm back up towards the sky. And on the exhale, drop your knees to the right and look to the left. The right palm flips down. And you'll just keep doing this. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, drop the knees, flip the palm. Good, and keep moving. So again, these are somatic movements. If you start to feel your body really coming into more of that parasympathetic state, which is relaxing, rest and digest, just relish that. Go deeper into that. Moving with your breath at your pace. Do about one more on each side to make sure you're even. And then you'll pause at center. And start to make your way towards your Shavasana. You have a whole bunch of props here. If you want to, if you're having any low back stuff, I recommend that you go ahead and do Stonehenge, which is 2 blocks at the top of your mat. Your bolster or a cushion or whatever you're using goes on top of those blocks. And then your legs go up over those blocks. Again, you can be flat on your back or something else that feels good. Really settling into this Shavasana. So get the legs just right. Spreading the shoulder blades so the back is flat. Maybe even taking the arms wider than usual. Softening through the pelvic floor, inner thighs and outer thighs. Take a nice big inhale. Gentle exhale, let it go. Doing that again. Inhale to fill up the lungs. And exhale, let it go. Letting your body sink deeper into this relaxation state. There's no work to do here, but soften and be for Shavasana. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And roll your wrists and ankles one way. Roll your wrists and ankles the opposite way. Slowly bring your knees into your chest, wherever you are. And then roll over onto a side and push yourself up into a seated position. You are going to need something to sit on again for us to finish out class, so grab that block or a bolster. We're going to finish class with a mudra today. So mudras are hand gestures. You can think of them as like hand asanas, but they direct energy to different areas of the body. So they can increase energy or they can make us like soften and relax. The one we're going to do today is called Anudandi Mudra. So the pinkies are going to touch, every other finger curls in. They just gently touch, and then you're going to bring it towards your low belly. This is a mudra for the low back. So we're directing energy towards the low back. You may or may not feel something with a mudra. It's completely dependent on everybody's individual experience. But if you've never done one, I encourage you to try this and see how it works for you. So in this seated position, pinkies touching, all other fingers curl in, and you just bring it to the low belly. Backs of the hands or wrists can rest on the thighs. Grounding down through the sit bones, finding length in the spine, all that length we've created. And just breathe and notice what happens for you.
Don't let the pinkies push together too hard. They're nice and soft. Last breath with the mudra. And then we'll bring our hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Taking a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And that is our practice today. I want to thank you for letting me guide you, and I hope you have a good rest of your day or evening. We bow forward in gratitude. And I'll see you in the next one.